everybody, and welcome to the Diamond Spotlight interview. Hi, my name is Barbara Beckley. I am the founder of the Diamond Factor LLC, where the mission is to empower women to understand their PPD, their purpose, passion, and drive in their lives. And this platform is to make sure to increase their visibility so they shine like a diamond to the world. And today, we have another Queen Diamond. I call the ladies Queen Diamonds, and I know they kind of like Barbara. I said, yes, you are queens, you're royalty. So Christine Shea, she is a queen. Today is well known for speaking on women's leadership and entrepreneurship, as well as wellness and health, has a diversity and impress background, reflecting her wide and various interests. In addition to her life in the corporate world in marketing, she has given of her time to make things better for others, hoping to inspire change. Christine is passionate, and she is passionate about driving positive change for women socially and professionally. Queen.
Well, thank you so much for an amazing introduction, Barbara, and I'm very honored to be back on your show. And I love your sparkle theme, because that's sort of a lot about what I am all about, is really, amplifying your sparkle, amplifying your shine. So we're very much on the same page there.
I know we gel.
Yes, totally.
I always love talking to you. And, I'm very open. I know this is our second time around. We're just going to call it as technology is not our friend and move along from there.
Well, it's our friend again right now, because at least we're connected. So I think during the pandemic, we're so blessed that we're in a day and age that we can connect at least virtually. So we'll count our blessings.
Yes. So this time for technology is working great.
Yeah, it was just a dress rehearsal last time. So.
Dress rehearsal. You're right. Now we're ready to go. So I want everybody to get to know how awesome and just the passion, like you said, that you have and you do. And before I even start with that, there's always certain people you meet in life where it just has that like little connection you have, and you just feel that golden heart that they have. And I see that when we met the first time, that I just see such a heart of gold that you have. So I just want to just say that to you, that thank you for having that, because we need more people in the world like that, especially what's going on right now. So thank you for just being who you are. And with that, now I'm going to go give you some more, you're a true conqueror. You great examples of being a leader that you do, which is needed too, because sometimes people look at leadership as like dictatorship sometimes. And I tell people that is so much of the not of a leader. And, after reviewing some of your stories and challenges that you dealt with, and then being an advocate for natural, healthcare, and you do a lot of things. Can you explain like how you really got into that, and that's your passion?
Well, so sort of a bit of my life story, I guess. I can try to sum it up in a short synopsis. As we discussed before, I had, I've been a single mom, and tragically, I guess you could say, I've lost two husbands, one due to an accident and one due to some health issues. And it was very, very hard. And then I raised a daughter on my own as a single mother. I was always trying to make everything work. I was doing that hustle. I was doing that grind. I was climbing corporate ladders. I was working downtown in Toronto in the financial district, running my own consulting business on top of having a day job. So it was like, I really only slept probably about 3 hours a night, and that's not exaggerating. And it was taking a huge toll. Plus I was taking courses, because I was always trying to further, I'm an eternal student, right? So I always want to keep learning. So I was trying to jam pack so much in there. What happened really was I was becoming really burnt out. And I actually collapsed in the financial district in the food court very dramatically. And, I was rushed to the hospital, and there was a multitude of tests and all that. And I really just thought I was just tired and stressed. And I was, getting a lot of migraines and headaches for years, actually. Stress can really induce a lot. So they did a whole bunch of CAT scans and then an MRI, and then they found out that I had, first they diagnosed me with brain cancer, so my heart stopped. I remember going into after, but they actually found later that it was a brain cyst. But it wasn't cancer, thank God, but it was putting a pressure on my brain. It was causing a lot of pain. You could go the surgical route. At that time, I didn't want to because it was there was a worry that it could compromise my vision. I have lost some vision because of it, but I'm very much healthy now. But it was really refinding myself, resetting, like a wellness path for myself, and I was realizing that this hustle, this daily grind, what was all ingrained as us as success is, having that title, that corporate title, and having not that I had a fancy car, but having all the status that goes along with those things as a measure of success. And I really realized that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be home more for my daughter, and I was taking so many painkillers that I wasn't maybe the most pleasant person. I still feel I was a very good mother, but it wasn't how I wanted to live my life. Taking all these painkillers. And so I discovered medical cannabis, really, but I also discovered how to just reset my path. So I wanted to incorporate wellness as a whole. So not just, putting my Lululemon pants on and going to yoga. Yes, I definitely did that and drink out of my small bottle. But yes, I learned how to eat well. I didn't know I'm not perfect. Yes, I will indulge once in a while in a bag of potato chips. I won't lie. But everything is in balance, right? But I was doing more greens. I was doing way more smoothies and stuff, and just I was always on a time crunch. So I'd put all my spinach, I'd put my blueberries, I'd put all my supplements and stuff. But also, I was learning about meditation and taking things a little slower. Just because you're busy does not mean that you are being productive or successful in that, because just being busy, I'm always busy, and I hate that word. I just always say I'm engaged. I'm engaged in whatever I'm doing, because
No, I'm loving that what you just said, Kristen, because I hate that word too. I mean, it's like the buzzword for the year is like, I'm busy. Yes, I'm so busy. I'm just busy doing this. And it's like, okay, can't we use another word? Because it seems like that. And some people, when they hear that you're busy, they feel like that you're not, in my mind, I feel like you're not open for other opportunities or anything that can come in your life because now you got this busy in front of you. And
yeah.
that's why I like when you said more so of engaging.
I enthusiastically engaged in my projects.
Yeah.
But it's a really fine balance. And as I think women, I know, especially as a single parent, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, women do carry the brunt of still, the work at home, and going to work and raising children, especially during the pandemic. A lot of people are homeschooling. Maybe some people are, with their children back at school. It might have eased off a little, but I think for women, my purpose in my company, which I founded, Blue Skies Life, it was all about the blue skies and the optimism and the hopefulness. And Blue Skies Life is really, it's a wellness company. I'll call it an inclusive, modern lifestyle wellness brand, where I really want to elevate wellness as a whole life mindset. So it's not just about, as I said, drinking that smoothie or taking that supplement. It's really approaching life in a whole spectrum. And it can be simple as just, taking some time to yourself to meditate in the morning, to, having some small indulgent, whether it's essential oils or something just to calm down. But it's really about elevating wellness for mind, body, and home. And Blue Skies Life, which will be e-commerce first, coming out with education and products, but it'll bring tools that will help bring you calm, joy, vitality into your life, and inspiration. And we'll be doing a lot of education as well. So we'll be layering that on and really creating a community where women can engage with each other and share stories. I've already started creating some digital other platforms as well. Making Her Story, which instead of making history, making her story, where women can share their stories and adventures. And I'm also starting another platform. I'm very much about, sharing and engaging other women and having them on the show like you do, sharing their stories. And another one I'm just launched, Growing Young. Instead of growing old, we're growing young. I really hated the term growing old. So I thought, it's time to reframe that. We're here on this planet, and it's better than alternative. I hate it when people say life was over after 40. I'm like, I'm just beginning, and I'm approaching 50 now. I'm not quite there, but almost. And I want to, if I'm going to live a long life, I want to make sure it's good.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's when women really start to shine, because they, hopefully at least the majority of their children maybe are, starting off on their new paths. They can, settle in and find their self again, because sometimes you lose yourself to work, to children, to marriage, all that. And
Yeah.
I think as you grow a little older, you could not only grow wiser, but you're growing young in heart. And I think that's what we have to instill, especially since women are, the average age, I think, is in their 80s now. So let's make your life count. You only got one life. And
Yeah.
after my health journey, which is always an ongoing thing, I ended up, even during the pandemic, back in the hospital again. Stress is huge. So you really have to put things in check. So is it going to really matter in 5 years? That's what I always say. Is it going to matter? So take a deep breath,
Mm.
inhale, exhale, like that breathing really helps. And dust yourself off when, I don't know if I can swear, when shit happens, you just dust yourself off and get up, right? And that's easier said than done sometimes, but it is really important to keep going. It's not about, success is not permanent, right? So, you can climb all those ladders, but you can fall down that ladder. And when you fall down, you better learn how to get back up. Even if you just take a couple steps up, you might fall back down again, but dust yourself off. And failure is learning, and not necessarily, I don't really frame it as failure. I frame it as a learning opportunity.
Oh yeah, always. Yeah. And I always say, Christine, that I tell people that success is in the eyes of how you see success. Some people see success as, ooh, I made a lot of money. I need all this money. Some people look success as, how many people did I talk to that I say hi to today and instill something, some kind of impact in their lives. Other people look at success as, what? I drank 8 glasses of water today. I'm successful. So I mean, there's different levels, but it's in the eyes of the person. And if we start just putting it like success is this and only this, then that takes away from a lot of other people that's creating a lot of success in their lives. It doesn't have to be what you think it is. So
I
I'm
know.
glad she said those certain levels.
I
Yeah.
agree totally. Success is really, it should be a self-determined measure. And I think, yes, all those materialistic status, I think people realized during the pandemic, a lot of that stuff doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all born into the world and we're all going out of this world and the same way. And no matter how much money you have in your bank account, it won't matter where you're going. So I think what's more important is to really leave a legacy of whatever that is that you want. And I don't mean just a financial legacy. I mean more about the impact, the positive impact, how people will remember you. And hopefully you're going to leave the world and whatever your environment was, a better place when you do leave. So I think that's the most important thing. And blue skies, like we're now going to bring that back into, because I'm looking out the window right now. There's blue skies peeking through the clouds.
Oh, yeah, because I have blue skies today. We had rain yesterday. Now it's the sun shining. So I love how you called your company Blue Skies. That's awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's whenever I was going through some very difficult times, as I said, I experienced, losing two husbands, and obviously your career goes on a bit of a roller coaster sometimes. And it's not just that, it's also health, and you're looking up at the sky. I always would look up at the sky just to give me hope and optimism. And when I see those blue skies, it's fabulous. But sometimes there's storms, right? Like you said, there's a rainstorm, there's a thunderstorm, maybe there's even a tornado, depending on how you're like, that could be metaphorical or literal. But without those storms, you're not going to appreciate those blue skies, right? And you'll also remember, what, it might be really not great weather today, but tomorrow, or maybe the day after or the week after, there's going to be sunshine around that corner. So just hold on and keep going. And blue skies life, it was just living your life with that mentality of wellness and reframing your mindset. Also, there's also a term called blue sky thinking. I don't know if you've heard of that. I'm sure most people have. So it's really about thinking without limits, without boundaries. I'll say even without stigmas. I think with all the, social awareness that's been going on during the pandemic, like with BLM or, gender inequity, there's all sorts of things going on right now in the world, and people are really looking at all those things. And blue sky thinking is really about, let's think bigger. Let's think without boundaries. Let's crush those stigmas. Let's get rid of these, ways of thinking. The sky is not the limit even, right? So that's what I love about it. Some people think it's a loftier, unreality way of thinking. No, you know what? You can change your world and you can be the change, right?
Oh, so good. Yes. Oh, I'm just like, say it, Christine, say it. You're so right.
Oh,
Oh, thank you for saying that. We need to be more aware of that. I mean, just like I tell people, I talk about the box syndrome. You know how people say, look outside the box. Okay, why is the box even there? That's what I ask people. I said, who put the box there? Take the box, throw the box away, and
Yeah,
then you can just,
exactly.
yeah.
That's when, creative thinking happens. Yeah, I always tell people, like, think totally crazy. Like, what if you had all the money in the world and you could change something? Think that way. Or what if you were on Star Trek, and you could create this amazing new invention? What would it be and what would it do? Like, think totally outside the box. What if everybody was equal? What if everybody didn't have to calculate their whole success, or go back to success, about their paycheck and what kind of house they live in? What if it was measured on how they gave back to the community, or what they did for other people? Like, I mean, I think that's really or their products, how did it change the world? I think, or even it's just one, two people, it really doesn't matter. I think success has to be redefined, as we said, and that normal, everybody wants to go back to normal. Well, I don't want to go back to that normal. I want to create a new normal where that hustle, that grind is not the normal. People having time for their families, being able to make a home cooked healthy dinner, being able to have time to meditate in the morning, or finding their own version of calm, and really checking all their mindset, and this, I'll call it the whole life spectrum of wellness. Like, you have your mental, physical. Without the mental, you don't really have much, because that drives your whole wellness mindset, right? So mental, emotional, physical, spiritual is very important. It doesn't mean religion, it just means spirituality. Social interaction, which a lot of people have maybe lacked, but we do have Zoom. It's not the same, but it's something, right? And then environmental, I mean, how we live our lives. And I remember looking at the sky, because there was not many cars on the road, right? And the skies were really blue, right? So environmentally, the world was kind of healing a little bit, because we weren't driving our cars, we weren't creating as much pollution in the industry. Although it's also about your environment at home and your environment at work. Are you loving your job? A lot of people are realizing, you know what? Maybe I really want to follow my passion, my purpose. Maybe I still have to keep my job, but maybe I can really rework that in, or maybe I want to start a new career, or so, or start a podcast or a vlog, and help
Yeah.
the world through dialogue and conversation. There's so many opportunities, and I think that's what I'm trying not to diminish what's happened in the world, with people passing away, and people have lost loved ones, lost their jobs, lost businesses. There's so much, right? But try to reframe that and say, you know what, that's what I did when my husband lost, to be honest. When I lost them, I always was like, okay, I have one life, I'm going to make it count. And, sometimes maybe I didn't channel that energy in the right direction, and sometimes I had to get back on track. But really use, out of crisis, there's always opportunity. And that's what I try to think.
Yes. Yeah. And like you said, Christy, just to add to that, I love what you said about, out of crisis, there's room for opportunity. But we have to make sure that because I know we all have our stories, like with your husband and what you were dealing with health wise, but you were determined, you made that decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to let this be me a victim in my life. I'm going to be victorious in this. I'll move forward. I know it hurts. I know it stings. I mean, and I tell people, I say, you need to feel how you're going to feel when you deal with things in life, because that's going to move you too. But because you don't want to get in denial, because that's a whole nother rabbit hole that you can go down to. But
Definitely.
if you really just take it in, say, you know what, I'm hurting right now, I'm not feeling good right now, I gotta cry, whatever, then when you do that, then make that right decision to move forward. Because if you don't, then half the stuff, like everything that you've done with your business and being that leader that you are, wouldn't have happened if you went that other direction.
Yeah.
So that's what I always tell people. I says, one thing to have the crisis in your life is another thing of how are you going to now, which way you're going to turn,
Mhm.
after you kind of let things go. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody will fix it except yourself. So, so you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and yeah, you do have to. I'll have to say from personal experience, sometimes I was a little numb, because I was like, okay, I have to just keep going, and I wasn't nurturing the hurt or the grief process, because I was trying to look after my daughter, for example. But I think that's an ongoing process. But you definitely have to nurture that hurt or the loss, within yourself, but use it as a tool to propel yourself forward and help others.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I like that propel. I love that. Because everything's moving forward. Everything we're talking about is kind of moving forward. But I always, because people come to me sometime and they're like, well, I'm in pain. I'm hurting right now. And I said, and take that in. No, we don't want to stop that, because if you don't take it in, somewhere down the road, when you're moving forward, like you said, you're busy, you're doing everything, it's going to hit. And it might hit at times where you'll be like, okay, this is not the time that I really needed this to hit me right now. So just make sure that, you absorb the hurt. I mean, it's going to be there. We're human. It's going to happen. So, awesome, awesome, awesome. I want to ask one more question, because I know you mentioned a bit about cannabis and how it helped, in a healthy way. And I've talked to other ladies that have been dealing with like insomnia and headaches and stuff like that. And they said they tried the medical cannabis and they said it has worked wonders. It's a good prevention. So I see that you did that too. Now, did that help with because I with what you were having
It
problems with?
helped me on so many levels. I'll tell you kind of the story because it's kind of funny. Maybe it wasn't funny at the time, but I was, experiencing debilitating migraines. Like it was like I'd function, but on a lot of medication. And then I'd come home and I would just be not only just depressed, I would be in pain. It was very hard for me to just even make a dinner for my daughter. It was awful. So one night I had called a friend of mine, and she was actually suffering from breast cancer.
Mhm.
And she said, "Oh," because she came over to help me look after my daughter, and I was, in my bed with the lights turned off and ice pack on my head, and she's like, "Why don't you try something different?" I'm like, "I've tried everything, and it's not working. I'm feeling sorry for myself." And she's like, "Well, why don't you try some cannabis, right?" And I'm like, "I don't do drugs." And she's like, "Come on, like you got a whole bedside, a table. Look at us." And she just like got angry and she went off. She goes, "You do drugs. You do drugs right now." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't really think about it that way." But
We got a whole bottles.
it's just the stigma of cannabis. Again, it's like that.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
open. Not that it works for everyone. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to say it cured me. I still have the condition, and I would always encourage people to see and consult their doctors first
Mhm,
before, especially if it's for a medical condition, because it may interact with other
mhm,
drugs you are taking or medication or your own, issues that you may have.
yeah,
However, for me, it is a natural plant, and I think when people talk about pharma, I mean it is still, it can be treated as medicine, but to me it's plant
mhm,
powered medicine. It is a natural plant that it should not have that stigma. It grows in people's backyards or wherever.
yeah,
And the oil that you can take CBD, which has no psychoactive qualities in terms of intoxication as THC, but really a one-to-one, like THC and CBD together. They're great for insomnia. I have terrible insomnia, partly because my circadian rhythm is really off, and I don't produce enough melatonin naturally in my brain because of my condition. So it does really help. Also
mhm.
combining that just with the lifestyle, of course. You can't just do one thing and then think, "Oh, I'll take some cannabis and I'll still hustle and grind, and I'm not gonna eat well, and I'm not gonna do this or that." So it all has to be integrated.
Us
So
together.
yeah, it's not like it's not a miracle plant. Some people say it is. Yes, everything can be in context, but let's be reasonable here, okay? But it is wonderful for pain and arthritis. A lot of people will need a little bit of THC. It's all very personal. Just dial it in and always try to consult a medical professional in the cannabis space that will help you.
Mhm,
There's medical doctors that specialize in cannabis. And in the States,
mhm,
I can't remember, in Canada, we have something called a medical license. So then you have access to doctors that can help prescribe. I mean, I've done so many different things and experimented, but again, make sure if you're trying new things, don't be operating heavy equipment or driving. But it is wonderful for pain, fibromyalgia,
mhm.
headaches. Just instead of taking maybe that glass of wine when we get to work, maybe you can take it in different formats. You don't have to
Yeah,
smoke, right? So
yeah.
I'm not by nature a smoker, especially because my daughter's father, he passed away from smoking complications. It was rather sudden, but a heart attack. So I didn't really want to smoke in front of her, nor wasn't really something I wanted to take up. So if you're not well, I don't really suggest all of a sudden, if you've never smoked in your life, to start smoking. I really don't think that's probably the ideal solution. But if you want to do it once in a while, there is vaping. There's controversy about that, although as long as it's from legal sources and it's not cut with vitamin E acetate or other solvents that are harmful. Do your homework. Don't buy off black market because you won't know what's in it.
Mhm.
There's gel caps. So those take a little longer to digest. They're kind of like an edible in that context. So always go low and slow because people are like, oh, that didn't work. So I'll take another one. I'll take another one. And then you're like,
And
oh,
all of a sudden it's like,
yes, you might not enjoy it so much. So yeah, always go low and go slow, and try things out. And sometimes it's a 1-to-1, like an equal amount of CBD and an equal amount of THC. And the CBD often counteracts that psychoactive quality that you get with THC, which can have intoxicating effects. But really, it's also just like wine. Like people take wine, and a lot of women have a glass of wine, just to de-stress. Although I think during the
kind of.
yeah, yeah, I could calm down. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily as long as it's being controlled. And I think during the pandemic, there's been a lot of wine drinking. But yeah, always everything in moderation. I love my wine too. And I'm not, people say, oh, well, how can you drink wine and do that? I don't do it at the same time. But if you do, that's your choice. You just have to know what the consequences may
Yeah.
be.
And that, that's with anything though, Christine. We have to do it in moderation and
Yeah.
knowing what you're doing and the reason why and how you want to do it. Like you said, you can do it
Yeah.
smoking, vapor. Because I know I talked to other ladies that came on, and one lady came on, I forgot her name. Oh, that's sad. But she was talking about how she puts it in foods.
Yes.
There's different ways you can, do it in certain foods.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
so edibles, so that's what we call them in Canada. So I just did an episode on growing young talk. I'll send you the link after, how to make canna butter. Now we used a machine called Magic Butter Machine, but you can do it in your crock pot or whatever. So I like butter because I can put it in anything. So I put it in cookies, I put it on my pancakes,
Yeah.
I
Making me
tried
hungry.
everything, but yeah, you just kind of have to find, your strain or the chemical profile of the plant, and it's really easy to do. Just buy the bud, and then it creates the oil, and it infuses your butter, which you can use in your cooking. You can do so much of that, even like baked box of macaroni and cheese. Not that that's really healthy, but you can do anything with it. So you can put it in your pasta, pancakes, put it into your
Mhm.
baking goods. So, and yeah, and definitely, I think food is a nice way, an enjoyable way. As long as you don't go hungry and then eat the whole thing, you might be sore after. I always put a disclaimer on that. So yes, it is a wonderful way that you can infuse cannabis in your everyday life in
Mhm.
moderation in the format that you wish, and that's what's so great about it. It has so much
Yeah.
flexibility,
So much.
not
Yeah.
only not only in the strain or the chemical profiles and how much CBD or how much THC. And there's other cannabinoids. I mean, I could go on and on like a nerd about cannabis, but there's CBN, CBG, and there's all different qualities of what those cannabinoids can help with your system. But
Mhm.
some people just use CBD. I did do that for a little while, but I do feel you'll get a whole life. I always talk about whole life, full spectrum, kind of what
Mhm.
Blue Skies Life is all about. But that is what the cannabis plant can offer as a whole plant. You can isolate those cannabinoids, or you can have them interact with each other to create a whole, basically a whole broad spectrum, which is probably sometimes better for some people. And if you're suffering from cancer or you're having chemo, it really does help with your appetite too, because a lot of people don't want to eat, and it helps with your nauseas. So there's
Oh,
so much you can do with cannabis, and it's a big part of Blue Skies Life because I'll be doing education about that and layering that into with YouTube videos and so on.
mhm.
Blue Skies Life.
Wow. Well, Christine, I'm just so glad that we got a chance to talk again. You're such an inspiration and you're being such an impact in people's lives. I just want you to know that and just keep on having that golden heart that you have. Now, I want to make sure if there's any last words that you want to tell the listeners before we sign off for today.
Oh, there's so many things I could say. I do think health is wealth. And I think, people were talking about success before. So I'm going to tie that in. I mean, it's been said before, but I think really health is wealth. And and it's not just your physical body, it's everything, your mind, your body, your soul. Health is wealth, and don't let anyone dull your sparkle. Shine on, be you, be what's unique. And I'm going to tie that in with your theme. But I've always believed in that shine on, and don't let anybody dull your sparkle, and keep your health, because health is wealth.
Ah, wisdom from the queen. Yes, thank you so much, Christine. Yes, please keep shining. We all have our own gifts, I always say. So please shine that out to people because we need each other. I need Christine, and hopefully she needs me. We help each other out. We balance each other out, and we help ourselves grow. So
Yeah.
thank you again, Christine, the Diamond Queen. I call you.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Yes. And thank you for allowing me again to spotlight you and your business. And I wish you continuously success in your personal and in your business, all throughout the world, that you're doing for people. And if those that are listening, please join us for another special edition of the Diamond Factor Spotlight interview. You can join the Facebook community under the Diamond Factor Experience. And we wish, if you wish to be spotlighted, just come contact me through Messenger, and we can get you on a date and time and get you going so people get to know who you are, your PPD, as I call it, your purpose, your passion, and your drive, because it's so important not just to know for yourself who you are and what you do and what you love to do, but it impacts so many other people's lives in a positive way, so we can move forth, as we say. So
Can I
see,
add? Can I add one thing?
yes, sure.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I love the purpose, passion, and drive. But I forgot to mention about Blue Sky's life, and I spelt it with a Y. And people are like, oh, you spelt it incorrectly. I'm like, no, no, no. It's all about your why. It's about your purpose. So I injected that purposely, intentionally. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because finding your purpose and your passion, that's going to lead you to success.
See, that's why we two communicate. That's why we communicate, because we just, you know how they say, we just, yeah. So the why in blue skies means your why. So that's what your purpose. Your purpose is so important. So please make sure that you shine every day, you sparkle every day with your why, because it's so important. So again, thank you, Christine, and everybody. We'll see you at the next Diamond Factor Spotlight interview. Bye.